Live. I haven't said that in a while. From Coldback Mountain. It's 2023's second Woke Data Wednesday, featuring Matt Mascardi, Lord of Board Sabermetrics. I missed the ceremony where you got knighted.
I did. It was beautiful. It was in a field.
I don't believe that.
No one attended.
I believe. I'm the Duke of Sussex, and today's licorice stained bag called January 11th, 2023. Random wokey ESG headlines that clickbaited me.
Oh, yeah. All right. That's how we should start the year.
And the Lord, that being you, discusses his data empire. Ooh, I'm excited about that.
Wait, I do?
Yeah. Well, don't you kind of a little bit? You give us a peek into the data empire.
I hope so. I don't have that much. Okay, let's just do this.
But first, today's show is sponsored by S-Gage, your ESG data solutions provider. Actually, we have Paul. Paul's coming by later in the show to grace us with some of his
stopping by
ESG data. Yeah, let's just say that. Let's say he's stopping by.
Let's pretend he's going to be in
Even
the
though
studio.
actually he lives in Maine, so he could stop by.
Yeah, I'll send him a text right now.
How does a British guy end up in Maine? Do we let British immigrants in this country? I thought we had immigrant problems.
Oh, well, Prince Harry's here.
He lives here? Oh, that's right. He does. He lives in California.
Does he live here? And it's like all I hear about is him now anymore. That's like, tell me we're covering Prince Harry saying stuff about a family no one cares about.
All right. We're not doing any of those things. Come on.
That's not going to do it.
No, that's not good enough. Give me something better. Oh, I like that.
All right, let's do this.
Okay.
I'm just going to let it run.
I actually like that music, oddly enough. All right, in no particular order, let's start with this one. The headline is Virginia governor says ESG transparency has gone too far.
Oh, no.
This is Glenn Youngkin, the former co-head of Carlyle Group. So he's in our world. He's in our universe, so we're allowed to talk about this.
Yeah, we knew about him because he was already co-ing. This
one's confusing, Matt. I don't understand this. And the headline is deliciously clickbaity for the ESG world. He says, is having world-class transparency and governance a good thing? Yes, it's a really good thing. That's what he said. And then he said,
wait a minute.
I don't know. And then he said, ESG means different things to different people. It just does. Okay, that's true.
That's true.
And he says investment firms are telling companies, if you don't do X, then we're going to penalize you as opposed to just not invest with you. I don't. Help me out with this. I think what he's doing is taking the opposite. I think he's trying to be the anti-DeSantis here. I think he's trying not to polarize people, right? He's trying to be the Republican that says, hey, right? I mean, he sounds like us. He's saying it's actually good, and there's different ways to use the data, right? Isn't that? Is he us? Is he us?
Penalizing. There's no penals.
I don't know what he's talking about there. I don't know what he means by that.
He is right about ESG means different things to different people, though. I like.
Yeah, am I right, Matt? Fine. Is he being the anti-DeSantis? Is he trying to make Republicans seem like they're not idiots?
I think he is going to have a hard time with this one, right? Because Carlyle Group actually has an ESG division. Like they have a sustainability team, and they used ESG data, or at least they said they did. In fact, they're one of the leaders in the private equity world.
Look, Matt,
for ESG. So
only weirdos at this point think ESG is something crazy.
But he can't go out and say ESG is a woke mind virus when he was the head of the group.
That's not in this article.
That's what DeSantis said, right?
That's what DeSantis said, right?
But he knows he's got to talk the talking points of anti-ESG, so he's trying to, he's being moderate DeSantis, where he's basically saying, look, we know that governance and transparency is good, but it's just being now taken too far. He's not calling it woke.
I'm going to be honest. I don't like this guy, Matt, but I'm going to cheer him. Oh, no, you didn't even let me cheer him.
No, I cut it off.
Because at least this isn't stupid. All right, let's move on. That's the bar here, Matt. It's not. If it's not stupid, I'm okay with it.
All right, that's where we're at.
Let's play. Speaking of stupid, let's play a little game. ISS publishes a proxy voting guidelines updates for 2023. First of all, who can believe how much time I spent in this crazy PDF from ISS? Why? Why did I do this to myself?
I can. Welcome back.
All right, here we go. I turned this into a game. Here's the game. In honor of our guest next week, Vivek Ramaswamy. The game is how much would Vivek hate this on a scale of 1 to 10. And you're gonna be Vivek. You're gonna play Vivek. How much?
Okay.
How much are you or he? How much is he gonna hate this? Scale 1 to 10.
Okay,
10 being utter hate.
My inner Vivek.
And I just picked out some highlights. Here we go.
Okay.
First of all, this is a new one. They added some non-binary language.
Okay.
And it's not a huge deal. They're talking about voting against directors when there are no women on the board, but there's a 1-year grace period if there's at least one director who is disclosed as identifying as non-binary. So I want to know, how much would this trigger Vivek just to have ISS talking about non-binary?
Oh, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Okay, that's a problem.
Because what we've identified has nothing to do with the board members' abilities. It has everything to do with the way they physically identify. And that has nothing to do with excellence capitalism.
And I was going to say, yes. In Vivek's world, if you're a woman or non-binary, it diminishes excellence. And I'm not saying that as a gag. There's actually proof of this later in the show. All right, so you're saying
this is a 10.
All right, moving on.
This is core hate.
This is a good one. ISS will generally vote against directors if the company employs a common stock structure with unequal voting rights. This is big to me because someone's finally agreeing with us that you should stop the nonsense. Stop the dual class voting nonsense. Stop letting CEOs and founders.
It's really good to be 11 years late on this.
But I want to know
the biggest
what
companies
would Vivek
in the world,
think?
In Facebook/Meta, is precipitating this problem.
To me, this is anti-democracy. To have these unequal voting rights is anti-democracy, anti-America, anti-excellence. What would Vivek think about this?
I think
would he hate this?
I think this is a 5 for Vivek.
Okay? Because he's confused.
Because A, I think it's a bit confusing, but B, he was a startup founder, regardless of the fact that the startup was something not even remotely related to this. So he likes the idea of the founder owning the control. It's private, individual liberties. I should be able to set whatever share
Live
class.
Free or
you
die.
shouldn't tell
Live
me.
Free or die.
Yeah, exactly. But he also has now in the investor side has to say it is all about democracy and exercise your
shareholder vote, the shareholder voice.
And like that means that company can be woke with no strings attached. You have no right. So I think he'd be confused. Yeah, I'm going to go with confused.
Okay. This one's a softball. The next one. If a company considered to be a significant greenhouse gas emitter does not adequately disclose climate risk disclosure information, ISS will generally recommend a vote against blah, blah, blah. I mean, come on. This is a softball.
Terrible. Get out. I hate this.
This is essentially socialism at work. This is the woke mind police, right? You can't ask companies to take climate risk seriously, right? Can't do that.
Vivek just launched Strive's education program. I saw the video yesterday in which he said the top 5 questions you should ask your financial advisor. The top 5 questions. No, this isn't. They didn't qualify this by saying they just said these are the top 5 questions you should ask. Number 1 was, did your company do a racial audit?
Matt, I love this, and you didn't even look at my script. You're actually jumping to my next headline. So let's go. Let's just jump ahead.
Number 2 was carbon emissions. All right, give me.
Let's just jump ahead to that, because we're really sort of on a Vivek path right now. We don't have to. Sorry, ISS. You could have had some more airtime, but if you want more, call us, sponsor us, be a part of us, like S-Gage.
Yeah, be like S-Gage.
So let's move on to that article you're referencing to. This was my next clickbaity choice this week. It's an article by Vivek called "Are You Investing in Woke Political Activism? 5 Questions You Need to Ask." And Matt, you're right. The first question is, have I invested in any fund? The first. This is what's alarming to me, and there's more of this coming in the show. And I think we've hinted at this before, but we now have basic proof that the anti-ESG movement is a white supremacist movement. Is it not? It's a misogynistic white supremacist movement. Why is it the first question, have I invested in any funds that voted my shares in favor of a racial equity audit? Why is that the most important thing on his mind?
You know what's funny about this? And I'm going to pre-take a little bit of credit because we're going to do our prediction show, I think, tomorrow and Friday. But one of my predictions from the beginning of 2022 was the rise of the angry white zombie director. And those would be white male directors who refuse to leave due to a push in diversity. They don't want to leave the board and give it up to like a diverse person.
They don't want to give up excellence.
I'm saying this would be like racial equity audits and
has nothing to do with board diversity. Nothing, Matt. Nothing.
All I'm saying is like the you're calling it white supremacist movement. I'm saying like this is the backlash, right? This is part of it. This is part of it.
And you know what I've stumbled upon?
I'm a man who is neither white nor supremacist.
And here's what. Well, he might not be white, but he might be a supremacist. I don't.
I wish there was a political litmus test I could do and vote on.
Don't forget, it was only a few weeks ago, right before I left for my vacation, that Donald Trump met with a Latino man who was a white supremacist, Nick Fuentes, and a black man who was also saying he loves Hitler and hates the Jews. So, I mean, you don't have to be white to be a white supremacist anymore. So, I guess ESG is also one in a very sad direction.
It does make me think.
It brought diversity to the white supremacist movement.
I'm discriminating against possible supremacists.
I don't know what's going on anymore. But here's what I stumbled upon that I can't believe I was too stupid to realize. Vivek's, his whole motto now is America must revive its shared national identity of excellence. Okay? Revive identity, national identity of excellence. Matt, this is just a very lazy rephrasing of Donald Trump's white supremacist message, make America great again. Is it not?
Can I ask you, when was America great again? Like, what time was it?
It was got to be pre-civil rights movement, no? Has to
really?
be.
That
when you could go to a water fountain and trust that it was only touched by the beautiful lips of excellence. Is that not what we're talking about here? Revive shared national identity of excellence? This is scary stuff to me. I'm sorry. This is weird stuff. It's weird.
I want a longer description of the lips of excellence. That's what
I hope Vivek
on that.
I'm excited to talk to Vivek. I hope he becomes a regular part of the show, but I hope he doesn't just throw talking points at us. I hope he actually gets involved in these stupid conversations we're having. He won't. I know he won't. All right, let's move on. Next thing that clickbaited me, Matt, basically the mainstream media has stolen the way we talk about life. Here's a headline from Business Insider.
Are they crediting us yet?
Never. The House of Representatives, this is the actual headline. The House of Representatives will have more guys named Mike than women chairing committees under the new Republican majority. This is us.
Yeah, I mean.
That's us. That's how we speak.
But
no, we started this.
So should I be excited because this is the headline is very reminiscent of things that we say? Like
I just want credit for something,
John.
I want
credit. Or should
I
I be disenchanted by the fact that this
can't
is
you
a
be
reality?
both? Why can't you be both?
You know what we need? A racial equity audit of the committees of the House of Representatives.
We need more friends at places like Bloomberg and Financial Times.
We have friends.
They need to start crediting us for all the brilliance we have.
You don't have any friends at all. So
no.
How are we doing that?
All right, moving on. Kentucky. I call this one we
already I don't like it.
It's called We Boycott Your Boycott. Kentucky threatens to divest from 11 banks over ESG policies. The treasurer there in Kentucky, Allison Ball, found there to be an active boycott of fossil fuel companies going on from some of the banks like BlackRock and JP Morgan. Matt, there's no active boycott of
So first of all, JP Morgan is the largest financier in the world of oil and gas, fossil fuels.
But she said there's an active boycott.
So here's what I did, because I saw that headline. It was from a couple weeks ago when you were away, because you're lazy.
Well, I'm sorry. It just turned up again new. I don't know that it's old.
So what I did was I went and I read all of the actual treasurer releases on how that, like, putting together the list and all that kind of stuff. Here's the methodology they used to put together the list of energy boycotters so they could boycott them, right?
Okay.
They went to the companies and sent them letters, a smattering of companies sent them letters saying, please describe your boycotting.
Yeah. Even if you don't.
When the companies responded, if they didn't agree, and or if the company didn't respond, they went and read their websites, and if they felt like they boycott, they put them on the list. I am not kidding when I tell you that was the methodology. There was zero data in the methodology.
This actually reminds me of the first day of kindergarten when we had our first ESG lesson. This was kind of how it went.
I remember
like
that.
If you feel
ERT.
like it's something, if it makes you feel this way, it's good enough. That's quantitative data.
We are basically doing feelings-based policy now. That's what it is.
Congratulations.
So that's what that was. It was great. Allison, join us on the show. Tell us about your feelings.
Yeah, actually, Allison
I want to know everything about your feelings.
Actually, I do.
Matt
doesn't really, but I do. Join us.
Let's reach out. That would be great.
Here's the next headline. There's a lot here, Matt. Wharton's. You probably ran across this one. Here's the headline: Wharton's Wharton, the business school at Penn, Ivy League school, Penn. Wharton.
Okay.
It's a tough word. Wharton. Wharton's majoring in woke capitalism. That's the headline. Although it says some are taking an elective in dissent. Here's the highlights. Wharton is offering a major in not only ESG but in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay.
Wow.
And of course, the author of this article is all in a titter, because he said that the nation's first business school was founded in 1881 by Joseph Wharton, an industrialist who made a killing in mining and manufacturing, the sorts of dirty industries that ESG proponents disfavor. So he's all in a titter about this.
Wow. So actually, I know the professor.
Oh, yeah. I quote him in this. Go ahead.
Whithold.
Yes.
And I can say that this is actually a major in capitalism. Like, he's a very nice man, but he wrote 2 or 3 of some of the most excoriating ESG ratings and data papers that I've read. Like,
but he's a proponent of stakeholder capitalism.
You would not think he was a fan of ESG,
right?
So much as not a fan of ESG. So that feels Wharton,
right?
Though, doesn't it? Isn't that academics? You're getting underneath the skin of a topic, and
you're confused, like Vivek with that previous ISS mandate. They're confused. Here. Okay, let's focus on a few.
Why did they ask me to teach a class in this? By the way,
maybe they will. Here's one graduate said, "By creating a major in ESG at Wharton, you are helping to legitimize it." That's true.
Yeah, good.
I just thought that was funny, that quote. It's like, duh, right? Okay, what else?
I don't know. You can't you major in like basket weaving? Like, I don't know. Does that legitimize the thing? Really?
Actually, that comes in later. That
basket
idea.
weaving does? Wow,
that
I'm way
idea
ahead.
comes later. Wharton's accelerating push into ESG has coincided with the 2020 appointment of Black woman Erica James as dean of the school. So again, All hints.
Dare she?
All hints, really, that the anti-ESG movement is just a white supremacist push. That's all it is.
Why are we so aggrieved about people basically getting jobs that they deserve? Why is this problematic?
Because this is part of a white supremacy movement. One recent Wharton graduate said that indoctrination in ESG subjects is baked into business schools before students even enter them. He said it starts right in the applications. The top business schools asked, "How are you going to change the world?" He believes such leading questions naturally lend themselves to emphasizing ESG. So isn't that just bizarre? Because couldn't you change the world for the worse, or couldn't you just make more money?
Imagine writing on your business school application, "I plan on killing Jews." That will change the world.
Now I get you.
I'm just saying.
Why do you have to go there? Why do you have to
that's like, imagine that being the business school application. This is not.
This is how triggered these people have become, though.
Yeah,
I mean, because you could change the world just by developing a technology, a 6G technology fused with an AI chatbot, right? That's ESG to them because you changed the world.
I think they did that already. But can you? Wasn't it the left in America that was supposed to be snowflakes? Why? Triggerable snowflakes. Literally, you say the word change, and they lose their minds.
The graduate student added that when major investment banks came to campus to recruit students, the whole Wall Street recruiting process was chock full of DEI stuff. DEI stuff. That's the quote.
Was this article one person's opinion? Like one?
No. Supposedly is it? But according to the author, a lot of the graduates refused to be named because they were afraid of being singled out by the angry woke mob. Vivek was also interviewed for this article. He said that the inclusion of the ESG DEI major goes hand in glove with affirmative action, which lowers the overall quality of students.
Wow.
I mean, really, I don't know. Again, I don't know why they're beating this drum, but it makes them look foolish. Honestly, it makes them look foolish.
I mean, there's something really deeply personal about that, that reaction, right? Why would you think that? Why would that be your lived? Wow, that's great.
Yeah. And finally, really just like what your basket weaving reference, another critic, Andy Puzder, former CEO of CKE Enterprises, said, "I don't think there's anything wrong with majoring in ESG or DEI, but I suspect it will be much like majoring in gender studies." So you see, it's constant. It is constantly either something about race or gender.
I don't know how they turned it into that, because ESG, the data sets were it's like a monstrous amount of stuff to choose.
It's terrible.
It's really next level. I'm really I'm upset and pleased.
And finally, to segue over to Paul Hodgson and Matt Moscardi, who are going to talk about some data. The last thing that clickbaited me was this 2023 ESG data predictions from CSR Hub. These are pretty boring predictions, CSR Hub.
Good. Let's talk about them.
So boring, I'm going to skip over the first two to the last one.
Okay.
And that is, they say, more new tools and data sets. They said, in 2023, we expect some new tool ideas. That's us. We're the tools.
We're the tools.
Yeah. All right, come on. What do you got?
All right, let's transition me somehow to something, doing something, and let's go to... I have a few boomerang stats for you.
Okay, this is from where? Where'd you get these stats?
Okay, first of all, I got these from our board Sabermetrics, and there are only a couple here. I just
only
found
available here. Only available through us.
The important thing about this is, if you're wondering how Vince McMahon and Bob Iger can go out, leave their companies, and go into the wide world and one for sexual harassment, the other one because he's riding a white pony into the distance, and then suddenly return in a tsunami of stupidity to run the companies again and be a white knight of some kind or a sexual harassing knight, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. If you're wondering how that keeps happening, we actually have statistics to show where that might happen again.
Not just anecdotes. I mean, yes, you can anecdotally just explain why Vince McMahon came back, but we actually have the data to prove that there was a power vacuum left in his absence.
So here's what I did. I looked at 250,000 directors.
And
delightful. In the last 5 years, and I identified the ones that were CEOs of the company, will stop being CEOs, and and found companies where there wasn't a founder or family member on the board, but they were.
No one's sucking up all the power in their absence.
These people tended to have outsized influence. In fact, the average influence was 22% of those people. They're not. These are people who are not the current CEOs, and they own almost a quarter on average of the power of the companies where they sit.
Okay.
Here are some examples, because I know you like examples.
I do.
Everybody likes a good example. How about Dick's Sporting Goods?
Oh, yeah.
So Ed Stack is the current CEO of, or was the CEO of Dick's Sporting Goods.
Recently CEO, yes.
Now is sitting on the board, and he has 37% of the influence, despite not being the CEO anymore. He's just sitting on the board, collecting a paycheck. So the minute that Dick's Sporting Goods has a problem, who do you think they're going to call to be the acting CEO?
It sounds like Ed Stack is sitting on a red hot boomerang. That's all I'm going to say. He's sitting on a red hot boomerang. Potential boomerang CEO Ed Stack. You heard it here first.
Ed Stack. How about Mark Fields?
Oh, yeah.
Of Hertz Global, the car rental company.
Also sitting on a red hot boomerang.
Or maybe Gary Carano of Caesars Entertainment.
Yeah.
My point here is, if you're worried, if you don't like the Vince McMahon thing, we identified companies where there is a power vacuum on the board that's filled by an ex-CEO or by what I'm calling founder rangs.
Ooh, what's that? Founder rang.
These are ex-founders. They're founders of the company, not really ex. They're founders of the company, sitting on the boards of the company but they're no longer CEOs.
So they're still on the board. They're just waiting.
They're still on the board, and there's 416 of them. And this is out of like 80,000 current directors.
Okay.
The average influence they have over their companies is 51%.
That's too much influence. Wait, is Jeff Bezos, is he still on the board?
He's still on the board.
And he's probably the most notorious.
Yes.
The most notorious potential boomerang or founder rang CEO has got to be Jeff Bezos, because you know he's coming back. You know he's coming back. In fact, we just saw a headline. A Wall Street analyst asked the question, should Jeff Bezos come back because Andy Jassy sucks? I think that he should come back just to correct your pronunciation of his last name, just for that one reason.
Bezos?
It's Bezos.
You say Bay, I say B, and that's your free float board sabermetrics stat of the day. If you wonder where the boomerangs are and the founder rangs are, we've got them.
Look, I have to repeat myself. The reason why I love this data and these stats that we keep coming up with that we own is that we're putting data and stats behind things that were typically anecdotes, typically ESG storytelling. We actually have the data now to back it up.
It's real.
Before we get out of here, Matt, do you want to let Paul in?
Paul, come on in. Sit down and tell us something. You can tell us something totally uninterrupted. This is Paul Hodgson from S-Gage. your ESG data provider other than us.
Hello there, Paul Hodgson with the S-Gage Statistic of the Week. This is just a quickie about stock ownership guidelines and retention policies in the S&P 500. So the good news is that 96% of companies have publicly disclosed stock ownership guidelines for their CEO and their other executive officers. And almost 2/3, in fact, have retention policies in place as well, so that policies would require executives to hold on to those shares. The vast majority measure stock ownership as a multiple of base salary, 93% in fact, so it's a very common way of going about it. And the time period for meeting stock ownership guidelines is typically 5 years at 69% of the S&P 500, although almost a quarter don't actually disclose what the time period is for meeting those guidelines. Now, the retention policies that are in place are mostly apply until guidelines are met. So executives have to hold on to the shares until they meet their stock ownership guidelines. That's 70%. There's a further 26% have retention policies in place for the period where guidelines are not met or not met in time. So again, it's a very similar situation to until guidelines are met. So that's the vast majority there. Now, while it's great, in fact, it's commendable that so many companies have stock ownership guidelines for their CEOs and other NEOs, they're really only commendable if they're actually meaningful. So next week, I'm going to look at what those stock ownership guidelines actually are as a multiple of base salary. So this is Paul Hodgson signing off with S-Gage Statistic of the Week.
Thank you, Paul.
I like how he just comes in the studio, talks. He doesn't say hi. He just leaves. Never sticks around to talk, have conversation.
Honestly,
he's very serious. Very
it's
serious.
Ideal. He gets down to business and he gets the hell out.
I like it.
It's the way business should be done. Just like we do business here at Free Float. That's Damian Rollis. I'm Matt Muscardi. We are Free Float. We invented board sabermetrics. It came from our brains. And you should buy it because it's good. So do that. Otherwise, we have Vivek next week, but tomorrow and Friday, are we doing 2 days?
What? Why?
Predictions.
2 days?
2023 predictions.
2 days of it?
I don't know. That's what I heard.
Terrible.
That's what I heard. Jesse wants to do 2 days, I think.
It's a terrible idea.
We'll blame the money whisperer. That's it. We'll be back tomorrow and Friday. Until then, goodbye.